let's talk about energy. Not the kind that powers your phone, but the energy that powers you. Every thought, every heartbeat, every single move you make. Today, we're plugging into our body's microscopic power grid, cellular respiration. It's the hidden engine inside every one of our cells, and we're about to figure out how it works.
Okay, so first things first. When I say the word respiration, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Breathing, right? Inhale, exhale. But what if I told you that's not even half the story? The real action is happening on a scale that's way, way smaller. And honestly, a lot cooler.
And this right here gets straight to the point. This is a huge misconception. Respiration is not the physical act of breathing. It's a complex chain of chemical reactions happening deep inside your cells. Think of it like this. Breathing is just the delivery driver that brings oxygen to the door. Respiration is what the cell does with that delivery.
So what is it, really? Well, cellular respiration is how our cells take their fuel, usually a sugar called glucose, and crack it open to release all the energy that's locked up inside. And get this exact process is happening in trillions of your cells right this very second.
Okay, so we've established that our cells are like these little power plants, constantly generating energy. But for what? Where does all that power actually go? The answer is, well, pretty much everything.
This is where that tiny chemical process becomes the energy of your life. It's the force behind every muscle you move, the electricity in every nerve impulse firing in your brain, and the furnace that keeps your body at just the right temperature. It's even the energy that lets your body build new cells to grow and heal. It's not some abstract concept. It's the engine of you.
Now, here's where it gets interesting. Our cells are incredibly resourceful. They have a couple of different strategies for getting this energy. They have a plan A and a plan B, and the choice between them comes down to a single critical molecule, oxygen. So these are the two paths our cells can take. On one side, we've got aerobic respiration. This one needs oxygen. Think of it as a super efficient, clean-burning engine that gets a massive amount of energy from its fuel. On the other side, there's anaerobic respiration. This one works without oxygen. It's more of a quick and dirty backup plan that only gives you a tiny bit of energy. Let's start with the main event. This is the body's go-to method. Aerobic respiration is the highly efficient process of using oxygen to get every last drop of energy out of each and every glucose molecule. This is the engine that powers us through most of our day. So where does all this magic happen? You have to zoom way, way in, inside your cells, to these incredible little structures called mitochondria. You probably remember that name from biology class, right? The powerhouses of the cell. And it's true. They take in the fuel, glucose and oxygen, and in return, they turn out water, carbon dioxide, and the real prize, a whole lot of energy. And if you want to see the recipe in chemistry terms, this is it. You take 1 molecule of glucose, mix it with 6 molecules of oxygen, and you get 6 molecules of carbon dioxide and 6 molecules of water. That arrow in the middle? That represents the chemical reaction that unleashes all that incredible, useful energy. So that's the ideal situation, running on all cylinders with plenty of oxygen. But what happens when the oxygen supply just can't keep up? What happens when we have to switch to plan B? And what's the real cost of doing that? This is anaerobic respiration, the body's emergency backup plan. When there's no oxygen around, cells can still squeeze a little bit of energy out of glucose. But that key phrase here is incomplete breakdown. The cell just can't get all the good stuff out. And the difference in energy output is just massive. It's way, way less efficient because the glucose molecule isn't completely taken apart. A lot of that potential energy stays locked away in the waste products, like the lactic acid you feel building up in your muscles. It's like getting only a tiny fraction of the power out of a gallon of gas. I know all of this sounds a bit abstract. It's happening at a microscopic level, so how can we actually see this invisible process at work? Well, scientists have a really clever way to do it, using a very simple organism you've probably got in your kitchen, yeast. So the trick is to use this special indicator dye called methylene blue. You mix it in with the yeast and its food, glucose. As the yeast starts to respire, it chemically changes the dye, causing it to go from bright blue to completely colorless. It's a fantastic visual trick. The faster that blue color vanishes, the faster the yeast is respiring. The experiment itself is pretty simple. You combine your ingredients, the yeast and its sugary fuel, add the dye so you can see what's happening, and then you place the whole thing in a water bath. The water bath is key because it lets us control the temperature with total precision. Then, it's a race against the clock. You time how long it takes for the blue to disappear. And you can repeat this at different temperatures to see how heat affects the reaction speed.
And this graph shows exactly what you'd find. As the temperature goes up, the rate of respiration speeds up. The enzymes are just working faster and faster. But then you hit a tipping point. Once it gets too hot, past about 40 degrees Celsius, the enzymes, which are just proteins, start to lose their special shape. They denature. And when they lose their shape, they can't do their job anymore, and the whole process just crashes. So let's boil this all down. 4 key things to remember. Number 1, respiration is a chemical reaction happening in your cells, not just breathing. 2, it is the source of energy for literally everything that makes you, you. 3, the aerobic path, the one with oxygen, is your super efficient main engine. And 4, the anaerobic path is the emergency backup generator. It works, but it's not a great long-term solution.
And that leaves us with one final fascinating question. We've just established that the aerobic pathway is way, way better. So why is it that during an all-out sprint, when your body's absolutely screaming for energy, your muscles abandon that great system for the inefficient, low-power anaerobic path? What does that moment tell us about the incredible design and the inherent limits of the human machine? Something to think about.